Welcome to another episode of Ruff Talk VR, a weekly podcast with in-depth game reviews, exclusive developer interviews, and the latest MetaQuest and virtual reality news. We join our hosts, the father-son team of D. Scruffles and Stratus today, as they spend another episode breaking down and discussing the world of virtual reality.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's a ball trimmer sent from space. Our friends over at Manscaped have been working night and day to bring you a below-the-waist grooming experience like none other with the brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. We're talking about a next-generation trimmer with interchangeable blade heads for whatever shave your mind can imagine. Upgrade your grooming game to the Ultrasphere this year by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code RuffTalkVR. High tech for low places. Manscaped. Every man knows how scary it can get when going for a close shave below the belt. That's why I trust Manscaped for all my sensitive areas. Inside this package, you'll find the star of the show, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Their 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. We also have dual LED spotlights to provide contrast on multiple skin tones, 3 length setting combs, and oh, did I mention the trimmer is waterproof too? No more wet shaving down there. Count me in. Take it on the go. Manscaped has you covered. This puppy comes with a travel case and even a travel lock feature to avoid any accidental powering and weird looks in the airport. This right here is on the cutting edge of cutting pubes. Upgrade your ball trimmer and your life will follow. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code RuffTalkVR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code RuffTalkVR at manscaped.com. I can promise you've never seen a ball trimmer look like a spaceship. Get yours today from our folks at Manscaped.
Hey, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're joined with one that I'm honestly so excited
Dude,
for.
how long have you been excited for this?
Yeah, I mean, today we're joined with, I might butcher some names, but we'll get correct pronunciation.
No,
you know,
you will butcher this.
Yeah, we're joined with Jeroen, the creative director and co-founder of Triangle Factory, you know, the studio behind Breachers. And that's the reason we've been so excited for this. This is one of the best
Yeah, it's
releases.
almost like a say no more moment, you know?
Yeah, and
That's freaking awesome.
This game burst onto the scene with, you know, honestly, a lot of hype, a lot of success with it too. And the games continue to get new maps, new game modes. So, I'm excited for this one. But before...
I'm sorry, a 4.7 on the store. Still holding strong.
Over 2,000 reviews.
2,700 starred reviews with only 1,000 different non-starred, just actual written reviews. But their Discord, just under 63,000
ridiculous
community members.
Ridiculous.
Holy crap.
And those store reviews and ratings, that's just for the Quest store as well.
That's just Quest, yeah.
Insane. So, Jeroen, do you mind to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and also what exactly Breachers is, and also maybe how to correctly pronounce your name as well?
Sure. Yeah. And let me say just thanks for having me here. We listen to the podcast. A lot of us in the office do. So it's cool that I can be here. So I'm Jeroen Dessaux. I am a creative director and co-founder of Triangle Factory. It's basically a game dev company that started around 12, 13 years ago. We have a history in mobile games. And then, now, of course, with all the VR stuff going on, we switched to that. It's where we enjoy, we enjoy creating VR games, and we're going to keep doing that now. That's a bit of a tiny background there.
So 12, 13 years, you mentioned you switched over to VR coming from, more mobile games. What year was it that Triangle Factory started to work on virtual reality?
We backed the original DK1 Kickstarter back in the day. We played, what was the first content out there? Something, I think Team Fortress 2 even had, and Half-Life maybe. That was so cool already. And then I emailed Gabe Newell just out of the blue when the Vive was around, and we did get a prototype dev kit. And my only regret is that we didn't start sooner creating our own games, so it was more to experiment with it and not make a full-fledged game yet. That only started with the Quest. But yes, still, how cool is that?
I mean, so there's a lot to dissect here, but let's start from the beginning. That's always our favorite when we have a guest on, is let's really get to know who they are and how we hit this point. So going back to yourself, you're a co-founder of Triangle Factory. So were you working in game development before co-founding a studio? How did you get started in gaming?
So I always was interested in modding games. I made maps for Counter-Strike and Team Fortress 2 while I was studying. And you should know there is a great game dev school in Belgium. And pretty much everybody who is at the company actually studied there. It's called Digital Arts and Entertainment. And that was, when I was studying, that was the first year that existed. Otherwise I was going to be an architect or something, but there were no game development schools in Belgium. So I did that after the school, the company got started up with some funding from the Imagine Cup. I won't make it too complex. I wasn't involved with that directly. I actually did my internship and then, but I wanted to be right. But yeah, so company got started with the Imagine Cup money that those guys got. And then, we started making a game, which that was around the Farmville times. And we made something that's like The Sims, but you had to make your own nightclub. And we made that with Unity. And that was a web-based game. That was basically the first game that the studio did.
And was that on like Facebook? Was it?
It was on it was on Facebook and something that's similar to Facebook, but a Belgian website. And I think we even went to Zynga with it, and they said, "Yeah, awesome, we can do something with this if you can make it in Flash." Because at the time, the Unity plugin was just a big hurdle to get people to install that.
Yeah, we've had a few of the Zynga people on before. That's Marcus Siegel from 4VR. I know he comes from Zynga, and then Baobab Studios. They have some people from Zynga as well. So it's funny that era of mobile Facebook gaming seems to have spawned some great and very talented VR developers. But when you decide that you're going to go for this new school that's starting with game development, and you're not going to pursue something like architecture or more standard engineering, what was the reception like from, friends, family? Did they think that you were taking a big chance, a mistake, or was there a lot of support in that?
Well, the friends thought it was cool, right? Okay, game development, that's nice. My parents, honestly, not really. I was always interested in the art side, so and environments, level design. But you only had now Larian is huge, but back in the day they weren't that big, and that was pretty much the only studio out there. If I wanted to stay in Belgium, people now everybody's happy, right? Company is doing good. But you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, no, total. And I know you made note on as soon as he mentioned Counter-Strike,
I used to make maps with Counter-Strike 1.6.
Yeah. So what version of Counter-Strike were you playing on? What?
That was Source. With Hammer, and then Team Fortress 2 maps. I just and Max Payne 2 level editor also.
So it's funny the Counter-Strike name came up because before Breachers even came out, I'm like, this is the closest thing that's going to feed my VR Counter-Strike itch, because it just had some of the same similarities. So I'd always wondered if there was any inspiration from Counter-Strike that carried over to Breachers.
Definitely. Like the whole buy system is very similar. Everybody at the company grew up with Counter-Strike. It's just a classic game that people still play so much, so we definitely look at it and get inspired by it.
And Breachers isn't the first VR game that Triangle Factory has put out. You had Hyperdash before, so what was the year that you started full-blown VR development? I know you mentioned when you got the Valve dev kit, you wish you started right away instead of just tinkering. So what was the point that Triangle Factory was full-blown, we're making VR experiences?
It was around 5 or 6 years ago, right? So when was Quest 1? I'm bad with years. So I remember getting our hands on an early Quest 1. And it was so clear, like, VR has to be standalone. I can bring this everywhere, get it in hands of my friends and family. This is finally gonna sell like crazy, which it did. So I was prototyping a version of Hyperdash. It was called Triple Dash back in the day, because you can dash 3 times before you recharge. Blah blah blah. But yeah, it's we wanted to make a VR shooter that didn't get you sick, and I think we succeeded in that. Even though it's fast and you can Tony Hawk grind on rails, for some reason it doesn't make you sick, and the dash system there was supposed to avoid making you sick instead of the stick movement that everybody is already used to, and that's the history of the game. We worked 2.5 years on it with quite a small team. We were with 12 people maybe. Now it's around 40 already. So yeah, Hyperdash started everything for us.
And Hyperdash, I know it had a pretty big cult following, but it didn't have like the mass reception and craze of Breachers, while still a great game. So
Breachers came out of the gate.
Hype.
Breaking some numbers.
Yeah, a very hyped beta. Even, you all did a great job generating hype pre-release so that, when the game dropped, people already knew to tell their friends, this is the game to get. But what were some of the lessons and things that you learned from Hyperdash that carried over into the development of Breachers? Obviously, it's a very different game. So if Hyperdash was the perfect game to you guys, I think you would have made it Hyperdash 2, but instead you went Breachers. So what were some of the things you learned?
So definitely building that community. You mentioned our Discord in the beginning. That's we really use that. And then make a game that the market expects and wants. Like Hyperdash is basically Quake Unreal Tournament in VR. Breachers is Siege with Counter-Strike, right? And that game wasn't out there. People don't play arena shooters anymore. So we knew a game like Breachers would do well, and luckily it did. And we just followed the same concepts with building up our marketing and audience, the same as Hyperdash. We put it out for free first, see if if people get excited about it, look at the numbers, and then go on from there. If the reaction to the trailer and the first versions wasn't that good, we probably would have killed the game before it released, but it showed potential, and we made it a full game, of course. So that's how we tackle our launches, basically.
Well, even conceptually, before it came out, and we were looking at any footage we could see, and the description of the game, it was like, if this is really what it is, this is going to be absolutely incredible. And the first time we played it, it was, dude, climbing. We used to go to the roof for no reason, just because we could. And I can't do it like that in any other game, But holy crap, the competitiveness that comes out when you play this is borderline. Huge. Yeah. It like I said, it was the only thing I've played that made me, have that like Counter-Strike itch.
Correct. You even got to be smart with how much money you're going to spend the first round.
Strategies too, man.
Yep.
You can just go running around like an idiot.
You die, you lose your stuff. So maybe it's better to lose a round but not die, if you get what I'm saying, than know you're going to die and have to start over. I mean, there's so much strategy in the game. Really, in my opinion, for 5v5 shooters, which is kind of a sub-niche of a niche, it's definitely the best of the best for a 5v5. But how long did the entire process of Breachers take in development?
Think we made a prototype, which was an adapted version of Hyperdash. quick reskin, adding the rappelling so you could get on the roof, break through windows, but that was pretty much it. No gadgets, I think. We still have some old videos of that. And just an office building that you could enter and a bomb that you could defuse, I think. And we made that, pitched it to Meta. I think that got accepted. So we had the green light. And then, it took 2 extra years to finish the game.
But some of the skeleton and framework is built directly off of Hyperdash. You were able to take Hyperdash and...
Yes. No. We started from scratch, basically, because it was an updated networking, a new Photon version, I think, which is our networking library. And then, Unity gets improved as well. So, yeah. That's why we can't even port Hyperdash to PlayStation VR 2, because it's a different networking library. And that sucks. But technology goes so fast. So
the technical things that people don't think of, why isn't this game on this, or why doesn't it have this?
The consumer attitude, myself included sometimes, is, well, why don't you just port that over here? Why don't you, do that over, with no real regard at all to the amount of technical work that has to go in. It's not as easy as just turning on a switch.
No, not at all. And with the title creative director for Breachers, there's, my brain goes to a lot of different possibilities of how you're involved in the game, whether that's overseeing, the direction of it, or maybe being hands-on, actually, making the code or artwork, so what's your hands-on involvement with Breachers?
If I introduce myself, I usually say I touch everything except the codes. I know how to code a prototype, but like production code, that's not for me. The team is so good at that. I will touch everything else. So art direction is something that I love to do. Level design. I made the tutorial myself and the deathmatch map. So I still like to do some hands-on stuff as well, but I do direct the team. And hats off to the team. It's fantastic to work with them. Super proud of the team that we've put together right now.
Well, the artwork side is no joke. Either.
And got an update in itself anyways.
Yeah, for Quest 3 optimizing.
It was damn good to begin with.
Graphically, it's one of the best games on the Quest. I mean, what was that whole process like, creating such a high resolution and detailed game, competitive over a network, and not have any issues?
Yeah, it's there's a lot that goes into that. We have a fully customized pipeline that's based on Blend. We use Blender as our level editor. If people are interested in that, during the Blender conference, Yal, which is our technical artist, did a talk about how we make our maps basically and get them into Unity. And then our tech team just did an amazing job with optimizing the shaders, the lighting, the materials. So it's all pretty custom to get it to run on a Quest 2. And then the Quest 3 update recently launched indeed. And as you say, it's not just checking a few boxes, unfortunately. So we do try to do better for all platforms, but the game is already looking very good on the Quest 2. Like people expected like red matter graphics for the Quest 3 update, I think, but that's just not possible because we have 10 characters running around. It's a networked game, so there are so many resources going to that. And just having characters on screen is so heavy. But I wouldn't bore you too much with the technical stuff.
Sometimes we like that stuff too.
Should be noted though that the graphics they're tight. So it's like, I mean, you say red matter too. I get it, but this is action packed, so you don't really have a ton of time to look around and dissect every bit of scenery. You know,
correct. That's how you get shot.
Yeah,
it's sitting there staring at the wall, like, wow, that's so pretty. Boom.
Yeah.
So no, 100%. And for yourself, when you're playing this game, what's your style? Do you like to go in
favorite weapons?
Yeah, favorite
gadgets.
weapons. Do you like to spend all your money right away? Do you like to save up money? How do you like to play?
First round, I always get I'm blanking on the name. Basically the Deagle equivalent, the Taurus. Sorry. So I try to go for one-shot headshots there. Trying to feel like John Wick, I'm not a competitive player. I'm just the big idiot in your team if I join you. And then try to get a Vezin as fast as possible, or maybe an SMG. And I usually rush in. I'm terrible at the game, honestly.
That was going to be my next question: is do you consider yourself a good player? So the answer to that's no. You don't consider yourself good.
A liability.
No, you're good when you play test it with your team. Once it goes out into the world, you're immediately one of the worst players already.
Although, let's be honest,
we can't compete. I mean,
with the amount of players playing it, sometimes the best of the best, that's who you're going to be playing against. And it's like, there are some very refined
little kids on summer vacation are hard to compete with those hours that they can put in. I can put in an hour a day.
Telling you, there's people running like severe strategies. They're working as a team. And it's like, if you've got a good team and you can work on strategies and you're going up 5 humans who are, they don't know each other or whatever, it's like you got a huge upper hand.
Well, and Breachers was one of those games where we're the worst type of consumer. Of course we don't say it, but just to ourselves, we're just like, oh, this game's so great and it just came out. Imagine if it had this. Imagine if it had this. Oh, look at the potential here. It's like, the developers work so hard, make such a great game, and we're instantly like, what else? What else? But there's some little teasers, like you see the competitive mode coming soon. You see stuff like clan tags, and we instantly were like, exactly that, having a full-blown clan and, running strategy and stuff like that. So what is the full vision for the future of Breachers when there's no more coming soon? You have all the features that you want in it. What does Breachers look like?
Mm-hmm. So obviously the big one is the competitive update. We really want to nail it and provide a real competitive, a whole thing with seasons and matchmaking that works nicely. But you work with a smaller player base, so we have to be really smart with it. But it will have everything like ranks. So that's what we are currently working on. There's still a lot to do, but we're aiming for, can I say that? beginning of next year. And after that, I think we will reevaluate and check what the community really wants, because we have so much close involvement with the community on Discord. It's actually a very nice process. Like people can pitch ideas and other people can vote on it. That actually is completely connected with our backend. We review that every week, just to make sure that we don't miss any good ideas or fix issues if there are issues. And besides that, it's gonna be new content, more maps, maybe game modes, maybe even new guns, who knows.
I definitely assumed more maps would be coming.
Mm-hmm. You can almost see the potential for it in the selecting.
They're lining up.
Yeah. I mean, since the game's dropped, you've already added a new game mode like Control Point. You've added Ship, which is a fun map too. Sometimes a little easy to get lost in, especially when you're first learning it. You're like, oh my God, where's the stairs? Thank God I got breaching foam. But for yourself, do you have a favorite map and game mode?
It's just Bomb Defusal and Hideout is my favorite map. Yeah. Just because how it looks as well, kind of feels cozy in a way.
I'm a Bomb Defusal guy as well. That's the most classic to Counter-Strike feel as well. Going. It's funny because it's like
it's a familiar objective.
Yeah, the classic one plant and one defuse, but it's always funny how the one that's defusing is the good guy Sometimes you think like you'd be planting the bomb as the bad guy, but I always like the kind of twist in the roles in that regard. But no, the game's got so much strategy, with the competitive mode, to touch on that a bit more. So the plan is to do kind of like ranked leaderboards and XP and that type of progression versus like, I don't know, a league or a tournament type of deal.
Yeah. So we will work with some sort of seasons. You will get rewards depending on what rank you end up with at the end. But yeah, I'm not gonna spoil too much there. Things are still changing slightly. But it's gonna be fun. I really hope that people will enjoy it, and yeah, that you can find a match very fast. I mean, we'll make sure of that.
Well, I like the
This thing screams esports though.
Yeah, we've thought that.
Screams it, dude.
Thought that since the first time we played it, because again,
because it'd be fun to watch like good teams go up. Like.
Yep.
Oh man, look how that one guy that was left was able to plant the
you know
bomb.
How many videos of Counter-Strike I used to watch back in the day? Just like, they used to be amazing. People would put together full compilations, like hours of footage of.
And this is the perfect framework for it. And I touched a little bit quick on like clan tags and stuff. So, the integration of it is really all you need in the sense of just pick your clan tag, but there's always potential to go deeper in things. And has there been talk to maybe add an official kind of clan system where you can have that integrated in the game and you invite people to join your clan and then it instantly sets the tag? Or are you pretty happy with, the way it currently works?
I haven't felt the need for a system like that. Right now, it works. And we actually haven't had any complaints of I guess, a problem would be people stealing clan tags or something. But no, not at the moment. Yeah, maybe later we can focus on that, post-competitive. But yeah, you touched on the competitive side. I also want to mention we work closely together with two Breachers leagues, BCL and VRML. And they're doing fantastic stuff. There are videos out there of already seasons that they run. And some of those matches are just insane. It's nice to see how creative people can get and how much they plan and are way more tactical than I play.
Yeah, Breachers has that written all over it, especially in the sense of, playing with randoms is great. And then if you can get a team that you play with consistently, it's a whole different game.
Dude, every person will always have a role on any map. Your spots. That's all you have to know is where shit is and what's your spot, and then be able to call out. And now I'm telling you, it feeds that itch big time. Brings back that like the adrenaline rush.
Yeah, but there'd even be times that we'd play it, and after 3 rounds, you'd have to take a break because it's like sweat on the forehead, not because of physical activity, because of like, damn, this is intense.
The competitiveness. So next level.
You mentioned you work with these leagues a bit. So if somebody wants to maybe start partaking a little bit more in that competitive side of things, how would they find information about that? Is that something they can find by, joining the Breachers Discord?
Yeah, definitely. Everything's on Discord. We post events there. They even post events there. Or look for VRML or BCL. Those are the 2 leagues at the moment.
So much potential in that regard. So, when you're playing this game, you mentioned that you're not too good. I just want to hear, what's your strategy going into it? What leads to this?
He said it. He runs in.
He runs in. That's it. Just straight forward.
Guns blazing.
So I usually look what the team is gonna do, and I try to enter from the opposite side. So if they are allowed, and I can sneak in through the back maybe. But yeah, more often than not, I'm the first one to die in the team anyway. But yeah, don't forget that flashbangs and grenades, they're really useful. I think I wonder statistically what's the most used gadgets is going to be breaching foam and maybe grenades. But yeah, learn to throw the grenade. They're really powerful. And yeah, if you're good with that, you can make some nice kills.
I got a soft spot for the healing syringe too. Sometimes I like to know that I can.
Soft spot.
Yeah, I like to know I can leave a battle and be ready for another. I've always had a soft spot for games that are that one kill or like one death and you're out till the next round type deal. So it's like a healing syringe to me is essential.
I love the one.
It's essential.
Put low on the ground. And trip mine there.
Yeah, I do think I'm a little bit more of a fan of, the gadgets when you're more of like the terrorist side, when you get to set them on the wall, and those ones are just fun to booby trap up a room. We always love to do that.
We've done some rooms really well. And then, I mean, shit, where people are.
So is this consistent with the whole team that at this point the whole team is getting smoked by the player base, or internally are there some pretty high level players on the Triangle Factory team?
There are a few good ones. All the bots, if you play with bots, they have our names, and then some people think there's a difference in skill level, but there really isn't. I think, bot Timo is already famous because they think he's really good, which is the other co-founder. But they're all the same. But yeah, we have, I think Neil is very good, and Jordi, who is our expert at fixing bugs. I think Jordi is our best player. It just sucks when you're not in his team when we play test.
Well, yeah, this is a game that it's like every game like this because of the buying stuff, and you lose what you have if you die. Yeah, if you're playing with good players and they kill you every round, it can go from bad to worse. Definitely. You're like, damn, these guys got the best weapons.
Oh, you can feel when you're up against a better strategic player. As a group, you know it the first round. You're like, you know what? That just was executed so smoothly. Precision everything, so.
Yeah, we have had some levels to it moments in this game in the sense that like we win 3 or 4 rounds in a row against a bunch of different random people. We feel like hot shit. We feel so good. And then we go in and then we get shown that there's levels to it. Don't win a round. So the game, it really.
Oh, that's the worst feeling too. When it flips over and you're like, if we lose one, we're done,
And, when you guys put out this game, obviously every development studio, they have some sort of confidence in their product. Otherwise, they wouldn't be putting it out. But did you imagine that it would be one of the, the most rated games on the Quest store this year? Would, a year later still be being talked about as one of the best releases of the year? Were you anticipating that kind of reception out of it? Or has it surpassed expectations?
No, it surpassed expectation, I would say. Releasing a game is just so scary. There's so many other games out there. In VR, it's still doable. I think that's also going to change. But yeah, it's done so well, and we're super happy with the reception. We really did our best making this our best game so far, and I'm happy that people notice it. And yeah, we want to keep making games and making Breachers even better. And we can do that now. So yeah, this is amazing for us, and we just want to give it back.
And internally, is the team talking about other games? And do you have a whiteboard full of ideas of other titles, or is it 100% of the focus right now just on Breachers?
Right now it is Breachers. There is a new concept that we have for a next game, but that's all that I can say. And it's too early to talk about that anyways.
No, totally understandable.
I assume there'd be more coming. There's no way that you get this level of quality out of a game in the studio's like, well, we're good. That's a wrap. We're going to go back to...
Well, I think Breachers is one of those games with the right support, tournaments, leagues, just consistent updates. There's no reason for the game to ever lose the player base or die out. It's like Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike's timeless.
Do people still play every version of Counter-Strike?
Yeah.
Their player base is ginormous. And for the VR scene, again, to have a Discord of over 60,000 people is just, it's rare. Oh my God. So you gave the community what they really wanted, which was a very intense, not a long time to play. You can jump in, you can bang out a match and be out if you're limited for time, or you can go in it for the long haul and do multiple matches.
Well, it's important to say it's a game that the gameplay mechanics, they work flat screen, and these 5v5 shooters where you buy weapons, restart if you die, in terms of buying your stuff. It's worked before. So concept wise, it works flat screen or VR. But then Breachers also takes advantage of being in VR with really cool interactions like you were referencing over. We would climb the buildings just to climb the building.
Yeah.
How freaking cool is it when you get to the window, you rock backwards,
Dude.
and you kick through it? So the core of the game is a fun gameplay concept that doesn't matter that it's in VR. It's just a fun concept. But then in the finer details, yeah, as a studio, you all took real advantage of where VR is great. This is a game that I'll find myself almost sitting on the floor, hiding in some area. It's so freaking good. So hats off.
We're both very competitive.
Yeah.
The fun thing with VR is that you for example, the buy menu, right? You just have it in front of you. You touch what you want, then you take your weapon, and then you touch there if you want to upgrade something. That's something that only works in VR, and it works great. You also mentioned that that you can get into a game fast. I'm happy that you mentioned that because that's the first thing that we designed for. We want to get people into games as fast as possible. We respect the player's time and their battery. So yeah, we want to get people in games as fast as possible. And then, yeah, designing for VR with like the gadgets, I think that was the most fun to think about. What would be fun? How do they work in VR? The breaching foam was just so much fun to spray it and then tap it down to have it explode. You could just map that to a button, but no, don't do that.
No, you remember you went through a thing where you wouldn't leave without the breaching foam if you could get it.
Well, any situation, it's one thing to breach
Calling
through.
it all out, all professional too. Applying breaching foam.
It's one thing to breach through a wall. My favorite is breaching through a ceiling. Anytime that I see, that it's destructible right there with the breaching foam, there's something about, I always just picture from the enemy side, like you're just sitting there playing your game and then from the frickin' ceiling, people come down. Like, good luck.
Well, early on in the game, I went and hid by a door that could be breached.
Yeah.
And guess what? Out of all the doors in the whole map for them to all come running through, it's the door that I'm like just standing right friggin' next to. Remember that?
Yeah.
They all came running in. I got popped within seconds. And I wasn't even upset about it because I'm like, well,
shame on you for standing by a window. Now
clearly standing by something that can be breached. Note to self, don't stand by things that can be breached.
So after, the game got released, of course, you do your internal testing. I mentioned the game had a pretty hyped beta part where, I'm sure you iron out a lot of the cheese or exploits people are doing.
Yeah.
But when the game came out, were there certain, exploits or strategies that you guys had to nerf internally because maybe it was a little bit more than anticipated, or is the game pretty polished at launch with game balancing?
Yeah. So exactly, thanks to our alpha and the alpha, we named it the alpha. Things were tested very thoroughly. Like any bugs got squashed out, and that resulted in a release that I'm super proud of. We didn't have any issues. You estimate how many players you would have, and then we have backups in place. Our servers can scale up if it were to explode. And it did a little bit, so but it was a great launch. I'm super happy with that, and well done to the team, because launches are so easy to mess up, unfortunately. And it is your first impression, right? It's so important. And any issues? Not really. Well, maybe just on Steam. I clicked launch game. And it didn't work, and the game didn't show up, and people were waiting to buy it on Steam. And I think they have their weekly holiday in Hawaii sometimes, and it was during that week. So we had to reach out, like, oh no, we don't know what's going on. The game isn't showing up. And then I think 24 hours later it did. That was a weird thing, and I think that costed us some sales as well. But yeah, if that's the only thing that goes wrong, I'm still happy with that.
Something completely out of your control, too.
Yes, that's like servers getting overloaded.
Yeah,
like whoops.
It's always tough when you did everything on your end, probably double checked everything 100 times, and it's like, press the button to launch.
Somebody else's.
Yeah, that's tough. But hats off to you all for, having that all ironed out on day one. That speaks testament to, I think that there's a lot that studios can learn from with having a strong beta or alpha. It can really make that launch day a lot more seamless.
So I'm very curious when Breachers started, because you did mention you were a much smaller studio and now you're a studio of, let's say, 40 estimated.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? I'm going to assume it didn't start off with 40 and ended with 40. So what was the start team approximately? You don't have to remember exact number. And then did it grow as progression grow, or was it more the result of the success of Breachers to grow the studio?
So we did a lot of work for hire to fund our own games. Like I mentioned, we started with mobile games. I think two of our biggest mobile games, and this is only in Belgium, were two trivia games based on a TV show. But they did insanely well. It was actually the first time where I was at a bar in Ghent, where our office is. And yeah, I was getting a drink at the bar, and two people were playing our mobile game. Didn't know who they were, and yeah, was asking, "Hey, what's this game?" "Oh, yeah, it's a fun game." "Okay, cool. That was a very special feeling for the first time, just seeing somebody play your game into the wild. So those games did very well, not commercially per se, but we did manage to grow our team to 12 people maybe. And then we kept doing work for hire stuff with VR as well. I think there are a few special projects that I can mention. We did a forklift simulator. So we train people, how to use a forklift in VR. And it actually had the whole machine. It was quite cool. Then we made some entertainment stuff for a VR center. It's called the Park Playground. And we basically made all their location-based content. So you have a room with 8 by 8 meters. You get there in with your friends. Back in the day, even with backpacks. Now it's all mobile and streaming. And yeah, we made a zombie shooter, an escape room, adventure game. I think we made 6 games for them. So that's fun and still going strong. And then another big client was basically education and then skill training. Like how do you repair an airplane engine, or how do you work with a torque wrench, stuff like that. And that company is massive right now. So yeah, we launched them a tiny bit, but yeah.
So
they worked with us and it was great.
So in like professional simulators, location-based entertainment, and then your own standalone title as Triangle Factory definitely has some.
Well, I found a brilliant way to fund their own project too, while continuing to grow a studio at the same time. And that's dude, I'm all about trying to build an airplane engine.
Well, I know you love those simulators. He even bought one that was like what was it? Like
airport ground crew. So you work the outside area of the plane up to and including making sure there's nothing in that area. All the tools. It's for passing the test.
It wasn't a game either. They say it like big on the page. You're like, not a game. And you're like, well, I'll buy it anyway.
Training simulator, but I love training simulators.
So I love that side of VR. And from the development side, what was it like working on those kind of workforce simulators? Was it kind of a cool little switch up? Was it surprising the way it all went? What was that whole process like?
Well, the fun thing is that you learn about those things as well, because you have to create them, and it's different every time. So it stays interesting, but it's not the same as entertainment. Our biggest wish was to, keep doing what we are doing right now, which is entertainment only. But yeah, VR is great for two things. It's entertainment and education. Maybe video, but I don't watch videos in VR, to be honest. So yeah, creating those training simulations, it was great. I traveled because of it as well. I went to like a factory of BMW, check out their pipeline, and recreate that in VR. It's different and it's fun, but I prefer what we do right now.
Makes sense.
got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
But it's still a cool side
And it's
of
in
VR.
VR. Yeah.
As is like the location based stuff. So I love that,
Well, and it's also important for people to hear too that are like, it's just not always as easy as wanting to make a game. Sometimes you're going to have to do things that
do work.
do work that you might not necessarily want to do. I don't want to say want to do it. That's not fair, but it wouldn't be your choice if you had a choice to say, I want to make a game or make something,
Sometimes you got to keep the lights on.
Exactly. You got to be willing to honestly put in the work where it's needed to generate the ability to make the thing you really want to make. So, I mean, it's good for people to hear that.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as just make it and game over.
And to kind of pivot a minute, you had mentioned that when you tried the Quest, you're like, all right, VR has to be standalone. So for yourself now, when you're gaming, whether you're getting sniped out or taken out quick in breachers or playing something else.
He says that it could be a lot.
Yeah, I've been blocked before. I'm not buying that he would get taken out quick, but we'll have to see. But are you playing on Quest standalone? Are you a PC VR gamer? What's your preferred VR headset as a consumer?
Yeah, no, Quest for sure. I don't like the cables. I don't want to mess with setting everything up. Whatever gets me in the game fast, because it's already. Yeah, you're already doing effort getting off the couch, dropping your PlayStation controller, and grabbing your VR headset. Right? No, I'm Quest for sure.
And are you on Quest 2 or Quest 3? I'm assuming Quest 3 at this point.
Question.
Yeah.
Honestly, no. I'm on Quest 2 but that's just for work, right? I'm testing for performance stuff on the new map. So I'm on Quest 2.
And
we have Quest 3s in the office.
That would be so hard for me to stick on the Quest 2.
I guess it makes sense though.
Yeah.
If it runs great on the 2, it's going to run even better on the 3. So I mean,
and are you just
sacrifice?
You teased a new map. Are you able to say what the new map that's in the works is, or are you referring to ship?
No. There's something after ship. I think we teased something with the snowflake. So. Yeah, you will travel to a nice location. Let's say it like that.
Oh, that sounds fun. Oh man, I'm excited.
I hope so.
And I'm guessing you can't say any, estimated time frame of when this will be out.
Soon.
Yeah,
coming soon.
Well,
in the future,
coming soon during the winter season. It's cold in December, so yeah, I'll just say it like that.
Oh, I'm excited.
I know we're not going to the North Pole, but that'd just be funny.
Yeah.
Just the game's too serious for, I think, to go raid Santa's village,
Well, I mean, geez, if an ice area, hiding and being smart about positioning could take a whole new level. Man, I'm excited for this.
Ice warfare is a game changer.
It is.
If it's, and we're speculating here purely.
Yeah, 100%.
With one snowflake, we've created this whole scene of, ice walls and areas, but yeah, usually you need special camouflage for.
Oh no, this is going to be fun.
And it could be industrial ice, like in a cold industrial building. I don't know. The speculation will continue though.
And is the plan for all these maps that come out to be free, or do you eventually plan to go to like paid DLC content?
No, our content will be free. With the progression update, we introduced skins that you can earn through XP, or you can buy them, and that's gonna stay our system. That's gonna be our system for the future. Just in-app purchases for weapon skins, and that pays for further development and our server costs.
Makes sense.
We've never had a problem back in the Pop 1 days of spending, was it like $4 or $5, at the time. If it was a good skin, it's like, you know what? It's going to support the dev team so they can keep making more shit, and then we can be, have a better game. Then it's not a bad.
I'm a sucker for a good skin, honestly. And
can't help it.
When I was looking at the unlockables, if I'm not crazy, if I'm remembering correctly, it looked like all the skins were for weapons, not characters. Is that correct?
Yeah. We don't have any character skins at the moment.
Is that in the potential plans, or is that too much game balancing with like, well, now you have to worry about this person hiding in this area type of deal?
Yeah, exactly. We want to avoid that it gets too crazy. Don't want to see people with Christmas hats or Santa outfits. That's not gonna happen. Maybe in the future we have some cool alternative skins that work with the gameplay. But that's maybe something for next year. I'm not promising anything.
No, I could totally see it too. And I've seen the issue with other shooters, especially competitive shooters like this, that one skin allows you to hide too well in a spot, and then the community gets upset that you sold it, and then it's a mess. And
there was always one terrorist skin that we'd all use as a team
because it was like the best.
It was the best one. Yeah, it's just the way it was. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it didn't give you an advantage. It was just, we'll say it was, I don't know, harder to hit, or the hitbox rate. I don't remember.
So then, unfortunately, that's sometimes the area you get in with character skins. So I completely understand why gun skins were the focus.
I like the balancing the way it is.
Yeah.
And I want to know what my teammate looks like.
Correct.
And what the enemy looks like, regardless of which side I'm playing on.
Correct. I think to go with just weapon skins was actually the smart decision for like overall consumer happiness. And some of the gun skins are pretty freaking sick too.
I just like it's not a pay to play.
Yeah.
It's like you're all getting what always blows my mind though when I hear these roadmaps for games like this is like, I think of the player who a year from today is going to buy Breachers because they got a headset and everyone told them, hey, this is one of the games you got to own, man. And they're going to have so much more content than back to the day one purchasers who are like, had a great game, and it is a great game. But as these games grow, I'm always thinking of that new user who doesn't even have a clue that like, oh, it only started off with 4 or 5 maps, not the 28 you're looking at today.
And when I go on the server list, it doesn't look like there's less servers to choose from today than there was at launch. In terms of like player base size, is the player base as big or bigger than it is at launch?
I'm very happy with retention, and indeed it's I think it's a bit lower than at launch, of course, because that's your huge spike. But it's very consistent, and at all times of the day we have a good amount of people playing. In the weekends that spikes again, but yeah, it's a very healthy game.
Yeah,
we have never had a problem. I don't think there's ever been one time we went to play and we're like, oh, can't find anybody to play with. We'll just play something. I don't think we've had any issues at all.
No, I went on last night at like 1:30 a.m. and there was
our time,
shit ton of servers. I was in a bunch. I thought it was all going to be bomb defusal, but there was a bunch of servers of Team Deathmatch, Control Point, all pretty full.
Dude,
I was like,
it's active. Again, their Discord community alone speaks for that. You can go on. I think anytime you go on there's going to be almost 15,000 people online.
And for a player that wants to stay up to date with the latest breacher news and all that, is the Discord server the best spot to be, or is there a newsletter or something like that they can sign up for as well?
There's no newsletter, but yeah, follow us on Twitter or X or whatever it's going to be called. And then our Discord is certainly our main hub where we post the most stuff and interact with people.
60K is no joke.
Dude, the community, people, games like this where it can get hokey too is when you play that it can be this level of toxicity that exists.
Haven't really found that in Breachers.
The only toxicity I've had is with humor in mind. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like anything to make me go, I'm never playing this game again. No, it was like the dude was just funny. It just probably walking the fine line, I guess. But
and I guess any multiplayer game has a risk of kids, but even then, it hasn't been like the most toxic
knock on
group
wood,
of them.
Man, I haven't had any major.
Well, since you touch on that, it's we implemented docs mod. So on public servers, like it's all obfuscated and we can't listen in or anything. But yeah, we moderate voice chats and people that misbehave get taken out. It's as simple as that. We really want to protect the community and have no issues with people that can't follow the rules.
Nope. I love I think like a year ago, we talked about AI integration as like being able to monitor the chatter in games and then obviously have a list of keywords that if you utter any of these words, you're out of the server. So I think it's great when a game, I mean, and you have to protect the community because it's like some people you're playing this for fun, even if you're playing it competitively, but the last thing you want to do is go in by yourself and just get tortured.
Yeah, you spend the whole day at work, then you finally get on the headset, and then you don't want to go in there and hear a bunch of toxic shit. So I think having a good community like that,
it's smart.
It's essential. And, you know, my experience with Breachers has been nothing but...
Well, and you want people coming back, too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of a little important.
That's the key side. How do we get people to keep playing?
No, so...
I think people in our Discord, they're still playing Breachers as well.
Hell yeah. It's one of the, again, for 5v5 shooters, it's the best, in my opinion. If you know...
It fills... I think it just fills a void and...
Fills your Counter-Strike void.
And standalone VR that you don't really have with other games. This was the first one to come right out and be like, look.
Yeah.
And bring a whole bunch of new elements to... Dude, the gadgets, man. Come on.
If somebody came up to me and was like, I just bought a VR headset. I love Counter-Strike. What's a game I can play? I would tell them Breachers, and I would feel zero doubt in my brain that they would not that they would have a great time. You know,
because the CS player will conceptually already understand.
No, they're going to be hooked. They're going to be covered in sweat in an
probably
hour.
Get a little bossy playing. Start taking shit maybe a little too serious.
No, but
I'd actually wondered if you guys could pilf like the Dust 2 map from Counter-Strike, if they'd give you authority to recreate that. Because everyone who's played knows that map. Everyone knows the spots. No, I can't commend the studio. I mean, in my opinion, you guys are having an amazing year. I think you're leaving a huge mark on VR. I've seen it with other studios who pump out good stuff, and I've said it to them, so I'll say it to you. You've set the bar like really high with expectations. So now if I see your studio's name on it, I've got a pretty big expectation that this product is going to be amazing. And I'm loving that Breachers is continuing to evolve. It's not a finished, forgotten product.
Jokes a little bit off air that there's quite a scene of Belgium VR game developers.
God,
you know,
dude. Percentage wise, it's amazing.
Yeah, what the hell are you guys doing over there? You guys have quite the.
I want to know the Belgium diet, because there's something in the diet, in the atmosphere, in the water, somewhere that's pumping out just amazing content for VR.
Yeah, so huge props to the whole team at Triangle Factory, and huge props to Belgium for having
representing the VR community around the world.
Quite a big VR scene, but our listeners that listen to the show, they'll know often we record on Sundays. And of course, you're a little ahead of us on time. So I always feel bad stealing people late on a Sunday.
Has a little guilt involved.
Yeah, you know, hey, you know, it's Sunday. It's the one day that people use to rest. Come talk with us a bit. But, you know, before we wrap this up and all that, you know, is there anything else about Breachers or potential stuff coming up or anything like that you wanted to touch on?
Well, I mainly wanted to ask you, what do you think that would be a nice addition to the game?
Oh man, that's the problem with that is
it's like asking how do I take this diamond and make it shinier?
Come on,
that's now. Really hard. That's a hard freaking question.
The only thing I can think of, and like the problem with the question is, it's such a good game. It's so, like you said, a diamond. It's I'm digging deep. If this never came in, the game is great. Would be like tournaments, and I don't even know if leagues, but like I guess like tournaments that you could click in the menu and see like, all right, there's going to be a tournament on Saturday at this time, or throw your name into it. Some sort of league play or tournament play integrated directly into the main screen, so people don't have to go on Discord and stuff. But I can't think of how to even.
It's one of the. If you asked me this about someone else's, I'd probably come up with something. But this is one of the ones where I've been enjoying the whole ride. I honestly can't think of anything other than, you know, I mean, I've got selfish maps, of course, that.
Yeah, you want a map creator.
We'll get you more maps.
I think when we first launched, I think you said a map creator, right? Like you want like a custom maps.
Yeah, I mean, and I get why you can't easily add,
you
know, map creators in VR at the moment. You know, I totally get it, but it had that safe craving. It had, again, when I'd want to make a seat, whether even if it was just a stupid practice map, it was just something.
other than that, I can't think of what you could add to Breachers without like ruining it or making it.
Well, it's funny because usually for like tournament plays, you have specifically configured servers that strip the abilities. It's everyone's on the, and this already has that. So it's not even like I could be like, oh, you need like the old cal.config to run on your server to have an official tournament. It's like there's no outside the rules already.
Yeah.
I would say additional weapons, but there's already a
so
good
much to
amount
choose
of freaking
from.
weapons.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of anything else.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment. And
Yeah.
let's just say I hope that people look forward to the new map and the big competitive updates.
Oh, I'm excited.
This game's just going to continue to. I mean, it's already got a pretty locked in, dedicated following.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice to see someone come out of the gate swinging home runs. It really is.
Yeah, 2023 has been, for me personally, a great year of content. Some of my favorite games in VR have come out this year. Breachers, Ghost of Tabor, Dungeons of Eternity just came out. Barbaria, The Light Brigade. Oh my goodness.
No, there's been some bangers across the board.
Now we're getting Assassin's Creed 2. We're getting Genotype came out. We got Asgard's Wrath. So it's been, for me as a consumer, a fantastic year. But Breachers is one of those games that, of those crowds, stands out.
If you ignore Breachers, then you're ignoring statistics. I mean, if you just look at I think we said earlier, the 2,700 reviews
Yeah, it's
on
incredible.
the Quest store. And I don't believe there's other studios pumping out 2,700 reviews.
No, the only two games that I know this year to have passed 1,000 reviews and have come out this year is Ghost of Tabor and Breachers.
Tabor's on App Lab.
Correct, but still like even still
in comparison.
on the store. Yeah.
So no, it's just, I mean, look at the numbers alone. I'm hard pressed to think anybody hasn't heard of Breachers at this point.
Yeah. So hats off to the whole team.
They're crushing it.
Steal a line from you that you like to say. I hope everybody threw a party at game launch. You know, you guys
doesn't
all
sound like it. It sounds like they've just been busy,
been hard at work. Because of people like us that go, you should add this. You know, what about this and all that. But
they're. It's almost like a formula you can't duplicate.
Yeah,
it's like the thought that went into.
Well, we saw
the perfect storm of a game.
We've seen other 5v5 shooters drop since then, and it's kind of like good luck with the 5v5 model. Breachers kind of has that locked.
Better let that heat die like half a decade from now or some shit.
So again, I can't say enough. Thanks a bunch for taking the time to talk with us today. Before we let you go, do you want to let listeners know maybe where they can find the Breachers Discord server?
Last time I typed in BREA, it showed it auto filled in on my Google.
Is that something they can just find on the Twitter? What's the best way to find that Discord?
Yeah, if you could Google it, I think breachersvr.com/Discord or just breachersvr.com, it will get you to the Discord for sure. And yeah, so thank you so much for having me. This was fun. Yeah, and thanks for all the nice words about the game. And I'll say hi to the team.
Yeah.
No, please do. Wherever in Belgium, we're crashing your place.
Yeah.
See where the Breachers
lay
down.
Please come over. You're very welcome.
Awesome. So thanks a bunch for, again, taking the time. For the listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, rate us 5 stars.
Go jump into Breachers Discord. Become part of that community.
Come on. Exactly. Other than that, if you've enjoyed the episode, I already said subscribe, rate us 5 stars. So then we'll check you out next week. Ciao, ciao.
Take care.